It's 12:50 p.m. Sunday, May 31, 2020. I'm back here to do a preface to the next video that I will put out. For certain reasons I couldn't conjoin them together, so I just have to do a separate video and now tell you about what I'm about to put out, and which was a video I never published a few weeks ago, where I was very distraught and upset after just being not basically, but I was thrown out of a store and banned from coming back there for not wearing a mask, not wearing a proper mask, and they didn't like that. I wasn't covering my face properly according to them. That's what happened, and which I described previously in other videos, and which I'm going to describe once more in the next video, which is I was very grave and solemn in my composure. You'll see that if you watch that video. Very upset, and this whole issue of the masks and how degrading it is and humiliating and draconian, in my opinion, especially because this so-called threat is really non-existent. And so what happened, let me explain another thing. Yesterday I went to another store and I was ready to go in, and I saw two guys walking in. One had no mask and one had a mask, and they both walked in, and I said, that guy is going in without a mask. This is intriguing. So I put on my mask reluctantly, shook my head, and I had to go inside, and I wanted to see, what would become of that. What would they say to him? So I went in again. I put my mask below my nose. That's about the best I could do right now. If I'm going to go into any store, you have to at least do that. And yesterday, as I had said, I got a lot of slack, and almost there was going to be a problem with the manager. Behind his mask, his eyes were like vehement, really looking at me. And then he told me very sternly and abruptly and rudely, put the mask up, put it up all the way, like that. And unfortunately I had to, because otherwise I'd have to leave. It's just the way it is. I don't know, I hate it, but then there was no problem. Anyway, getting back to the story, in this other store yesterday, I went inside, and the guy's walking around. I see him there with no mask, walking around the store, and the manager was there. He had a mask on. The woman behind the counter had a mask on, and he was acting like, normally, talking like a normal person, which nobody ever does, talks, and he had no mask and just talking to his friend about getting something. And I'm saying to myself, okay, well, this guy has no mask, nobody's giving him a problem, and even the woman behind the register wasn't even looking up, looking at him as they were checking out, and even talking. He was asking her questions, and she was answering him and talking, and didn't look up, and they knew he didn't have a mask on. So I think some of these people, they probably feel like I do, and they're like, I'm not going to tell these people to do this, because maybe they feel it's crazy and that you shouldn't be forced to do something against your will like that, So there are others out there, I'm sure, feel that way. Look at this situation. Anyway, I'm standing behind them, and they're checking out, and he checks out with no mask. Have a nice day, blah, and they left. And so as they were checking out, I thought to myself, I'm putting my mask down. I'm going to see if there's some kind of response. I had my mask down over past below my mouth, so my mouth and my nose were covered. She didn't look up again. Said, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, good, all right. Okay. And then as I was leaving, she said, be safe or be well. And I said, okay, this is curious. So that was my instance yesterday. So there's a lot of differing things going on here. Some are enforcing it, some are really like the thought police and Orwellian and ready to really pounce on you and with a sternness and demanding you in the way they tell you to do it. And okay, so that's what I wanted to say, and you'll listen to that video if you want to. The way I sounded after I did that video a few weeks ago, I said to myself, I can't put this video up because I felt like maybe my attitude was, too strong, and maybe I wasn't right in my attitude. But after doing the last video about the recent developments, warp speed that's happening in New Jersey and probably everywhere, things that are developing quickly, in my opinion, even from the last 2 weeks. And so after doing last night's video, that was the one with the new rules at flea markets, and that was a dental office. So dental offices, and I'm sure all kinds of other places, doctors' offices, what their new draconian laws and rules and regulations are in order to even have service, to be able to go to those places or have commerce and so forth. And so now I feel differently, and I said I'm gonna put this video up. It's a good timing for it right now. Whatever happens with these videos I'm doing, I don't know, because I'm not going to hold back. I'm speaking what I think, so whatever happens, I'm going to continue to do that. And as I say, let me say this quickly. Like a couple of weeks ago, things seemed so much differently. So in the past 2 weeks, it feels like ages have passed in the development of things, and even the fact that I wasn't going to do any more videos really and post them. Although, like I said, I did a lot of videos in the past 2 or 3 months, and I never put them on. So what I was doing here is, I don't know. It seems like, again, things are developing so quickly, and it's a good time to just come right out and say this. Things are changing rapidly, and the new rules and laws and things are coming in quickly here, swiftly, in order to bring things back online, to normalize the country or whatever back to a normalcy, which I don't think is happening at all. It's just what it seems to be, like I say, but the rules and everything are just getting worse, and things are going ahead to the next stages in all of this. So, like again, in the past just 2 weeks, things seemed so much different. I wasn't planning on doing videos again, and then I suddenly did. Whenever last week I began doing videos. And so that that's basically it. So if you want to listen to that video, I'm trying to think of other things. Like, the reason why I pause so much is because I can't shut this video off like I used to like to do in the way this is set up, because I have an image showing here, and so I could think of what I'm saying, shut it off, and collect my thoughts and say what I want to say. So I might forget what I was trying to say, some of the things, but I think I said what I wanted to say. The point is, like, again, that we're heading into this. Things are going ahead, and again, when was it, like a week or two ago, Trump came out with this warp speed thing, Operation Warp Speed, to bring this all to pass with the vaccines and testing very, very quickly, saying, he expects very shortly they're going to have, like, enough vaccines for the entire country, and he thinks there will be a vaccine very shortly. And the testing, the means for all this, to commence. So, my feeling, just things seem so different. Things seem like again, not just a few weeks ago, all these developments. It seems like they're crunched in to such a short span of time, and things are changing and moving ahead so rapidly, in my opinion, in things. What we're hearing, again, what I said in the last video, flea market and dental office and so on. And so, sorry to ramble on here, but again, I'm trying to collect my thoughts of what I want to say. Again, you could see before you what it says, ID 2020. Hopefully people are listening to these videos who don't listen to these normally and are, finding out facts and truths and what's going on with all of this. So this is sort of my ongoing saga and story with the masks, which is sort of a indication, sort of like a barometer, what have you, of, how things are moving along here. Right now, that's the requirement. But again, all the other rules and things that are now in effect, coming into effect shortly, things are moving. They're moving. They really are. And we don't know how much longer this will go on, but like I said in the video I'm about to put up, I can't stand this anymore. I can't take this. I don't want to take this. And it really gets to you. It really does. Even at this stage, even something that seems so innocuous and harmless, and in fact, helpful to most everyone out there who are, afraid and thinking, you're gonna catch something if you don't have it on, so they're opposing you, And my point is, if these masks really protected you, okay, then why does everyone need to wear them? Because the people who wear them would be protected in one sense, but they'd say, well, because you could spread the germs more easily, and they'll come in contact with others outwardly in different, places on their body or whatever, different objects. But wearing them is really pretty ridiculous when you scientifically, medically, in much of a sense. And right from the start, there's been others out there doing videos saying this is insane because you can't catch a virus outwardly, because a virus has to have a host within the body to replicate itself, otherwise it can't be transferred. And that viruses are basically not necessarily, don't take what I'm saying, that I'm saying it accurately, but they're not necessarily alive in one sense, or like a germ or a virus, or germ or bacteria. So it's been said that it can't even be passed outside of the human body, okay, because they replicate in a certain way inside the body, and that's the only way they could replicate and can't be transferred. I don't know if I'm right or wrong about that, but there's others who know a lot more about that, have been saying that all along. And again, the protective ability of masks, even doctors have been differing on this during this whole pandemic thing, saying, well, they're not even going to protect you anyway. So some are saying, they won't even protect you, and then these other ones are saying, and even ones who aren't doctors now, the so-called experts, that you have to wear a mask, to keep others from being, infected, and then, it's 6 feet, so whatever, just crazy. And I didn't expect to go on this long. Again, I apologize. I don't know who's going to listen this long, but it's very sombering. Kind of still reluctant to put that video up there, but I think it's time. I think it's time to really stand up, and I think because of the lateness of the hour, no matter what, just speak the truth. Speak out, especially when it comes to the gospel and grace. And I was going to do a video, last week, in the midst of coming back and doing these videos, sort of giving a warning, or what's the word? How a army general says, charge, and then the soldiers charge. Well, I felt like that with grace, go back on the offense, no matter who or what says anything, even though, you've been beaten up and beaten over the head for this so long by the Pharisees and the self-righteous. And again, I'm going to repeat this till we're out of here. If they're relying on their own self-righteousness, and especially seen in the fact that they're so opposing of grace and contort it and twist it and do not understand it and come against everyone speaking about grace, which is the true gospel, then they're not saved. Okay, they're not saved. I don't care what anyone says. It's what the Bible says. And if you're not saved, you're not going to be raptured, okay? Even the ones who say that, are into Bible prophecy and come on and do videos, and they're preaching a false gospel, and it's insane. It really is. Some can say, well, leave them alone, because maybe they just don't quite understand that they're confusing things. And they could be saved. Forget about could, would, should, and good, okay? Let's stick with what the gospel says and preach it right to the very end, and, get that fire in you, and we're not listening to what they say, no matter how many there are that come out of the woodwork and that have been mocking and cynical and smirky, and saying whatever they're saying. We know who they are. Some of you have done videos recently about them, especially 2 particular women out there. I'm not picking on women, could be men or anything, but just the one I'm referring to, I think, out in the forefront of the videos that are out there now. So what kind of word can I use? Arrogant, smug, and just they don't get it because they don't have that grace. They're not saved by grace. They're not saved by grace, and they show it. That's why they can't figure it out or understand it and have to oppose it, and can't understand how what they do doesn't have anything to do with salvation, and take that and turn that into a sin issue and a repentance issue, because they're the ones doing it to keep themselves supposedly saved when they're not. So, okay, I did my little preaching here. So, I encourage that too. I see more and more of that coming out, and just, keep the feet to the fire about this, because they're the ones that are preaching a false gospel, no matter what they want to say, and turn that around. And, all the ways they try to understand it, it's through their darkened understanding of how one is saved. And it's very, very simple. Very, very simple, and we all know what it is, those who know what grace is and are saved by it. Very simple to understand, and it's not something you do to save yourself whatsoever, but only what Jesus did. And those other issues that they want to make it out to be, they're putting that all in the front loading, as you guys say out there, as we all say, front loading the gospel and back loading it and truck loading it and dump loading it and, making requirements, just like these requirements now going on, forced requirements to be saved. And, all right, that's about it. That's about all I should say. So just keep going with that. And really, time is winding down here. We're on the verge. Things are moving ahead. The world is going one way, and the Satanists and the, conspirators are going their way, and we're going to go our way very shortly. Never the twain shall meet again, thankfully. We'll be gone from this mess. Everything that this entails, won't have to deal with it ever again, and can exist and breathe the air again, breathe the spiritual air again, away from all of this and all of them. God bless.